Greetings and respect. Blessed love, Rasta here with my man Blood Pressure.
Yo, yo.
Yeah, recording Where's the Crown? Just kind of highlighting people that we deem to be interesting or something that's going on that we feel like people might want to check out or might want to be informed about. I'm here in Colorado. I don't know if not many people know who I am. Rasta. I'm just a local grower. Started as a hash maker here in the weed business. Had an opportunity to jump in and do some solventless extractions. So that's kind of my background as far as my first introductions into the weed business. Started with a company named Native Roots. We went from one shop to like 10. During that time, the company kind of grew and my notoriety grew. Now I ended up as a grower in Boulder, Colorado, doing the greenhouse thing. Enjoying myself, growing some good ganja weed, blessing the people with some positive and informative information I'm hoping here in the near future with this podcast. Shout out to KGNU for giving us the space to make the thing happen, and my man Blood Pressure.
Yes, I. Shouts out to the whole Rasta Bubble family and the We Are the Crown.
Yeah, man.
Brand new podcast, episode number 1.
Yeah, episode number 1. I'm excited to say that I've reached out to a couple of other people that I know. Congo Sanchez, drummer from Thievery Corporation, who said he'd be on in December. So look out for that coming in the near future. Just want to give a shout out to Ziggy Papers as well. For giving love and support. You can check out the Rasta rolling papers that are available through the website, negooseordersco.com. Check out the Idle Meds, my brother. And with that said, again, we're going to have Congo Sanchez on in the future. Going to hopefully get Keznam D on the show. Reached out to him hopefully here in the next couple days. Yeah, man.
I know say Keznam D's coming through for a show, right?
Yeah, I think he's coming here with Kali Buds.
Okay, he's on the Kali Buds tour.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It'd be nice to make sure all the lovely people come out and check the show. Make sure you represent for the reggae community. Trying to keep it up full and bright. It's been a good year for reggae for sure. I know we just had Ibamar come through for what was that? Reggae on the Grass.
On the Grass. Ibamar nice. And Fayakin.
Yeah, Fayakin. Blood Pressure on the tables. It was a beautiful show, man. I haven't seen that park light up like that.
Yeah, man.
You know what thanks. I mean? For real, it was lit. So.
It really was, man. Yeah. The annual event, Reggae on the Grass. We do it once a year.
Yep. Be sure to come out next year. I know we had some issues with the rain, but I know.
Yeah, man. But if we hadn't had the rain, then we wouldn't have had Ibamar and Fayakin. So it was kind of like
blessed.
A blessed experience on all the levels.
Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, man. Shout out to Bobo Shiloh for linking that and Rasta Stevie. Yeah, man. Give thanks.
And the whole Island Stage magazine.
Yeah.
Enough love to Susan for making the whole Fayakin session happen.
Yeah, we're super excited, man. I'm excited with this podcast to really try to reach out and make some links. I know hopefully to get on the podcast as well as Diraja from Jamaica. So we're excited about that as well.
All right, nice.
Man, one of the stories that Blood Pressure was just telling me, which I thought was super interesting, was about how he used to get these records back in the day. He'd call up the distributor at his job, and he'd get these records, and the way he'd know they were coming in is because he'd get it on the fax machine, which was like, I was like, that's crazy, man. But it's such a good story.
Yeah, man. When I first started DJing, I went to New York because right around 1996, 97, there you couldn't really buy reggae records in Denver. They had some spots like Twist and Shout would sell like the 12-inch, like a LP. You could buy like a record, but they didn't have a lot of the 7-inch singles with like the new songs and things like that on them. And that's what I was after because that's what was running things at the time.
Yeah, man.
The 7-inch 45.
Yeah, shout out to Twist and Shout. They've definitely been around for a while.
They got Paul, man. He used to be over on Alameda. Back in the
Yeah.
day, it was on Alameda and Logan, which is now a Chipotle.
And they had the wax shop.
Yes, I.
And then they had the tapes and
See, you
CD
remember?
shop. Yeah,
Yes,
I remember.
I used to go in there, and he would order. He would have a catalog from Ernie B. And Ernie B. was a second resource. But to get to the part about the facts, when I first decided to DJ and set up my sound system, Blood Pressure,
Yeah, man.
I went to New York, and I went to places like Moody's and Original Records and VP Records and Ethiopian Taste in Brooklyn and all these different record stores. I went around and bought a whole bunch of 45s
Nice.
and brought them back to Colorado, so I had something to play for people. When I first started DJing, I used to even use tapes. I used to use these cassette tapes, and I had 2 tape decks and a mixer, and used to use 2 tape decks and the mixer. Before I had any records, we used to play at the Ethiopian spot called Mezkarem on Colfax. Mezkarem. Yeah, man. That was my first gig with Herm and the Preacher Man.
Wow.
We want to big up the Preacher Man.
Yeah, man. Big up.
And that's a story worth telling, too, because Herman used to put on the records himself. He put the turntables and the mixer and the microphone, and he would put on the 45, the version on the B-side of the record. He would play the instrumental version, and then he would go around to the front and grab the microphone and sing.
Wow.
And I used to sit in the audience and watch him. And Herman is a Jamaican. Herman Winter, man. Big up Herman, man.
Yeah,
The Preacher Man.
Nice.
He was a Jamaican who lived in Colorado and still does, as far as I know, and worked as a yard man, a landscaper. You know,
Okay,
and
yeah.
He has the mowers and all type of things, and that was his job. But at night, he also had turntables and a mixer and a whole gang of records.
Just running.
And so
it.
he used to run this session at Mezkarem, and I used to sit in the audience and watch him do this. And so one night after he was done, I approached him and I said, "Hey, man, I could do that for you.
Nice.
I could put the records on for you." And he was like, "Okay." And he showed me how to work the mixer and how to, and that the rest, I kind of knew what to do, So then I started putting on the records for him, and that's when I was like, "Man, I got to start getting my own records and start buying records." And so I went to New York and went and saw my family and went to all those record stores and came back to Colorado with a whole bunch of records and started putting them on. Sire had a place on Welton Street called Cat Island.
Big up Cat Island.
Yeah, man, and it was called Cat Island, and that was I think those were some of my first gigs, even before Cosmos and
Oh man,
and
Cosmos.
and the whole Cosmos joints we used to do on Kalamath, right up the street from where we are now.
Was that every Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember that brother told me he used to come.
Yeah,
He
man.
used to tell me to come through, and that's what I know we were talking about earlier. Is some of the things that used to go down in Denver and Colorado. We used to have a big reggae scene.
Cat Island was like the spot back then, man, and it was man, it's probably like an apartment buildings or something now. It's not there anymore.
No,
It used to be across street from that park.
Yeah, I think it's some
And,
townhomes now.
But yeah, man, that was the spot where we used to put on the first parties, and when I was looking at the records, I would see a phone number. There was a phone number on the record, and it had, distributed by Ray, Emphatic Records, and this number and the phone number and everything.
And
so,
back then they were like, that means they were coming direct from where they were being made.
yeah, it was said made in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And if it is some records I would get in New York they didn't say made in Jamaica, and they didn't have the phone number on them either. But the ones that were made in Jamaica had the number. Some would have a website at that. The websites were starting to come bust at that time. It was
The
like,
internet.
this was in like the mid to late 90s. And yeah, the internet was starting to bust. And so I had a job in a call center in the place called Boulevard Media. And you might remember in that time, there was a lot of chat lines on the phone.
Yeah, I remember those chat
And
lines.
the chat lines one of them was called Live Links. And I worked in the Live Links call center. And we had a computer. We had a phone, long distance phone.
Yeah.
and we had a fax machine.